Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, I've had a pretty rough day today. Baby Remy had her 4-month shots, which is quite a few shots. I used to work at a clinic before I became a stay-at-home mom, so watching her get her shots isn't hard. I'm like mentally prepared for that when I go in there, knowing what's going to happen because I used to see it happen all the time when moms brought their children into the clinic. So like mentally I'm prepared for it, but emotionally it just makes for a really long day and you just feel for your baby. So that has been emotionally exhausting, and to top it all off, I just got done cleaning up doggy puke and baby puke because baby Remy has terrible reflux and it sometimes just, she can have terrible days. And today, I think along with her shots, just because that was stressful for her, made her acid reflux even worse. And I just probably looking a little rough because it has been one of them mom days. So I was just on my hands and knees scrubbing the floor, and you might hear the robo vacuum running because I'm being a little lazy today and letting the robo vac do the work because I'm just exhausted. All right, so besides from random mom talk, I would actually like to talk to you about where we left off last in our IVF journey. So let's get started. First off, I know I talked about how we were traveling and we just got back from Traverse City and we were staying pretty busy, and then we actually found out when we got back from Traverse City in March that we were expecting and we got pregnant on our own naturally. It was a huge surprise to both of us, and it was just pretty unbelievable. We were both just in shock, excited, and awe, and we were nervous because we were told before with the trisomy 8 that we should not use our own embryos, so we were nervous to see what was to come. I was just anxiously, can't say it, awaiting getting through the first trimester because that cuts down the chances of miscarriage by 90%. So I've heard, and so I was just hoping to get through that. And I want to say I called the doctor. They got me in for a blood test. Everything was going really good. My levels were rising, and then I started having some major cramping about 5 weeks in. They got me in for an ultrasound, but it was too early to hear a heartbeat. They could see the fetus, but it was too early to hear a heartbeat. And they just kept checking my levels, and then they noticed that they did start dropping, and it was just really frustrating. I was going in every day and getting my levels checked at that point, and then once they hit a certain level, they told me that I was miscarrying for sure, 100%, and that I did start spotting. So this time I was going to miscarry on my own, and They told me what to expect, and I know we already had the losses before, but it was a lot different because I wasn't miscarrying naturally on my own. They gave me a pill to start the process, and then I was supposed to go in for a D&C, and I ended up having 2 D&Cs. So it was just going to be a very different process, and I definitely was not looking forward to it. I was really scared, and I was very, I wouldn't say shocked, because in the back of my mind, I prepared myself mentally in case that this would happen. And so, you know, we miscarried naturally at home. It was really painful, and it was rough for my husband because he, you know, sees me in this pain and there's nothing that he can do. And, you know, if you're going through the pain of labor, you know, you will have that little baby at the end. So there's a positive outlook on it. And there's a reason to go through all this pain. And I guess it's just, I mean, there's no words. It's just, there's nothing positive about it. I mean, it's just something that's hard, sad, hurtful, something that's hard to grieve through. The only thing that you think is that you have another angel baby, and you'll hopefully get to meet them one day, and that's the only thing, once you get through it, that's in your mind. You are a mom, and don't let anybody tell you that you aren't. Don't let anybody look down on you like you're any less of a mom than someone who has kids on this earth, because you are not. And it does not matter if you have other children here on this earth with you. Because you are a mom. And it's the same thing, whereas if you can't, carry your own children and you adopt children, you are a mom. And I just feel like there are a lot of people out there that feel like, oh, if you don't get pregnant on your own and birth your own children, then you are not a mom because you're not biologically a mom. And that is not true at all. Like, let's set the record straight. I feel like anybody who can step up, raise a child, take care of a child emotionally, mentally, physically, be there for a child is a mom in my book, in my eyes. And they deserve props. And I, was getting a little bit of shame, I guess you could say, from certain people who I thought were friends in my life at this time, about how, you're not a mom yet, and you'll get there one day. And that was just really hurtful to me. After all I've been through, I felt like, yeah, I am a mom. We lost our set of triplets, now we lost this child. I am a mom. I'm a mom of 4. And so it's just really difficult, because a lot of people have their own opinions, and they can, and they always will. But I wished people would realize and think about what they say before they say it, especially for somebody who is suffering, through infertility and in silence through infertility. And I just wish people would, think about what they say before they say it, because it can be very detrimental to a person who is in the state of grieving the loss of their child. So, moving on, we both felt like we were done trying at that point, and that it was just no point in us trying to conceive on our own, that we should just focus on the adoption and the calls from foster care. So that's where my mind was at. Ryan's mind was still like, what's the harm in us trying? There's always a possibility that the doctors are wrong, that we can conceive on our own, but that we can have our own baby, that they, we will get pregnant and the child will make it. And so, I was just scared. So I disagreed with him, and I was really pushing, like, I'm gonna go get on birth control, or, we're gonna use some sort of preventative, because I do not want to go through another loss. It's just too hard. And we'll just look forward to the day that we get that phone call where we know it's the right phone call for us. And so at that point, once we went through the loss, we were just staying really busy, and I guess we were being careless here or there, but I hadn't cycled from March to June, and I just wasn't thinking anything about it until there was, at the end of June, I started feeling really nauseous, and my back was hurting, and I just was like, man, I'm coming down with the flu. And after like a week of this, I'm like, this can't be the flu. Like, I never felt like this before. It feels odd, like out of sorts. And so I was like, maybe if I drink a pop, I'll feel better. And we went and spent a day at the lake with our family. So we got home really late that night. And I decided, if I have any pregnancy tests, I'm going to take one, just to ease my mind. And I know my husband was like, you're not pregnant. Like, you know how hard it is for us to get pregnant. He's like, you just have a stomach bug, it's going around. He's like, you probably don't have any pregnancy tests, put back anyways. He's like, you always pee on them. There's not one ever in the house. If you ever need one, you gotta go buy one. And so, oh goodness, I did find one, and I went to the bathroom, just acted like I was going to the bathroom. My husband was already in bed. I told him I'd be there in a minute. I took the test, and immediately it came up positive, and it had never been so dark. And so I was like, wow, like, how far along am I? It's really, really positive. So at this point, I was like scared. I remember I was shaking, I was crying, and in a way, I was unhappy. I said, oh my God, can't believe I was so careless. Why didn't I go get on birth control? We know what happens when we get pregnant. I can't believe that I'm gonna go through another loss. How did I do this? Why did I do this to myself? And so it was just a really, really crazy time. I remember running out of the bathroom and slapping the test on Ryan to get his attention, because I just couldn't even talk. I was just in shock. And the cap came off, and pee went all over him. And he was like, oh my God, what is that? Oh, get it off. And then he looked at the test, and he was like, oh my God, you're pregnant. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I can't believe how dark it is. Maybe it's gonna work this time. And he had so much faith that we would get pregnant still at this point, that I look back on that and think, how did he have all that faith still that we would get pregnant? And I know I didn't have that, and thank goodness I had him. Because getting, through everything that we'd been through, he was my rock. And so I went to the doctors and found out that there was a good strong heartbeat, and we just had to wait. And at that point, our goal was to make it through the first trimester. And let me tell you, I'd never been so sick in my life. I was sick morning, noon, night. I just remember anything. There was not certain things that would make me sick. It was anything. And everybody kept telling me, Cassie, that's perfect that you are that sick. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is perfect. This is miserable. It feels like I have the worst flu I've ever had every day and night. And what are you talking about? I'm like, and then I was scared, like, I was puking so hard. Is this harmful to the baby, to the fetus? And the doctors were like, no, this is great. This is great. You know, the sicker you are, the healthier the baby is. And I was just like, what? It's just hard to believe that that's true. And so I just remember thinking, when is the sickness gonna end? Am I gonna be sick my whole, the whole 9 months? So we made it through the first trimester. Yes, thank heavens. And I was elated. My husband was elated. It was amazing. I was still very, very sick. At this point, I wasn't even keeping water down. I was having to go get IV fluids every week at the hospital. And I would be there for a couple hours doing that. And once I did that, I'd feel better for about a day, and then it would start up again. I had that for about 15 and a half weeks. It was wretched awful. Oh man. And so I will say that when I stopped getting sick, then I was concerned, like, is my baby okay? I lost 6 pounds at that point. And I'm like, I was really concerned because I wasn't overweight when I got pregnant. I wasn't underweight. I was perfect, but I lost weight. So I'm like, at this point now I'm concerned. Well, once I could eat again, I was like eating everything in sight. I was still trying to be healthy, but if I want to eat a candy bar, I'm gonna eat a candy bar. If I am craving french fries from McDonald's, I'm gonna get me some french fries. But the funniest thing ever is I craved hot chocolate from McDonald's and grilled hot dogs. And I know you're supposed to stay away from the lunch meat, but I talked to my doctor and she said if it's grilled, you're safe to eat it. So it was winter time and I'm over at my in-laws cooking hot dogs on their grill. That's how bad I wanted them. I'd say to my husband, can we go? Like, he'd get home at 10 o'clock at night from work, and I'm like, can we go? Can we go make some hot dogs on the grill? Because we don't have a grill. My husband doesn't eat meat, and if I'm gonna make myself something, I usually just put it in the oven, cook it on the oven. It's not worth us buying a grill yet until we have a bigger family. All right, so find out what happens next in our pregnancy journey. Do we make it full term or do we go early? All right, talk to you guys soon. Don't forget to subscribe.